Well, here I am doing this video today in the morning before I've even really gone about my workday, which is kind of refreshing and different for me. Um, and it's kind of fun to light a candle in the morning. It's like maybe I'll even do a meditation this morning before I leave. Why not mix it up? Um, the reason I feel motivated to do this video in the morning, aside from the fact that I had this little block of time and whatever, but is because really what I wanted to just talk about was my experience yesterday and last night. I had another one of my usual days yesterday, and I do an online class every other week where I teach social workers who are moving along their internship process. And the class ends at 7, and of course, being that it's winter, it's already well past dark. And because of the day I hadn't really gotten a workout in. I do try to work out most days if I can, as part of my mental health work as well as physical health. And I hadn't gotten a workout in. I didn't really feel motivated to get myself to the gym at that point. So I just decided really spontaneously yesterday to put on my workout clothes, get my headphones in, and just start walking. So at night in New Orleans, running on the streets or the sidewalks, which is what I would do, is not the best idea because our sidewalks are so jagged, and I just feel like it's a recipe for disaster. I will trip and fall because I can't see very well at night. So I was like, well, let me just take a walk. And I used to love walking. And I've talked in these videos about mindful walking, and I talk with my clients about mindful walking. So I decided to just take a walk. And so I did that, and I just kind of started off pretty aimlessly. For me, it was kind of a quasi mindfulness walk because I did have music in my ears. I have a playlist that I call my long drive playlist, which is kind of like a crossover between songs that I love to sing to and songs that are meaningful to me. So where those two things intersect, they get thrown into my long drive playlist. And as the name implies, it's if I'm going on a road trip, which I love to do. It's kind of like my go-to playlist. And so if I'm doing a walk, that felt right to me. So I played that. And I just started walking, and really what happened to me as I was walking is that I just started to kind of feel my feelings. This week has continued to have been kind of a tender week for me emotionally. I feel good, I feel happy, I feel strong overall, but I feel like my emotions are kind of tender and kind of close to the surface right now. And so this walk last night really helped me. I realized, as I was walking, I was being very mindful of my own experience in the walk. And what I was feeling, my experience is that I started to feel the feelings. And it was almost like I went on this kind of developmental path where the beginning of my walk, I felt kind of motivated and good. And then right in the middle of it, I started to feel a little bit sad and kind of wistful. And then I kept going, and then I started to feel determined, and then I started to feel happy. And I felt like I was plugged back into that sense of being happy overall right now in my life. And then right at the end of my walk, something happened that would normally have caused me to have back to that kind of sad reaction. It would have had a pretty strong emotional impact on me. Something happened toward the end of my walk that I wasn't expecting. And again, at this point, I was pretty tired. I was ready to get home. I was hungry. I hadn't eaten anything for the most part. So something happened that normally would have thrown me emotionally. And I just kind of had to stop after this little thing happened, which I'm going to keep kind of vague on purpose. But I really just had to kind of stop for a moment and regroup and say, what have I accomplished tonight? What have I done for myself tonight? I have felt these feelings. I have acknowledged them this whole time during this walk. And I have done this thing for myself that feels kind of crazy at the end of the night, at the end of a long day. I did this long walk, which as it turns out, I went home and I figured it out. It was 5.5 miles that I walked, which is a lot. And so anyway, but I knew it was a long walk, obviously, as I was getting close to home. And I just kind of stopped and said, I'm not going to let this change the emotional impact that this walk has had on me. And that statement to myself really did actually help. And so I'm saying all this to say that that's kind of the mind-body exercise I'm going to kind of practice in this video, is just that a mindful walk, or even just a walk on its own, and I'll kind of describe again what mindful walking means, can be extraordinarily therapeutic. It doesn't have to be 5.5 miles. I mean, it can be twice around the block. It can be any length, any distance, any amount of time, any pace. But there is something really powerful about walking, and it's not just my experience I'm talking about. I've kind of learned this over the years with my clients and people in my mind-body skills groups. Walking is powerful medicine. It helps us think. Obviously, it moves our bodies. But if you do a mindful walk, it can really help you just be mindful not only of your surroundings, but of your feelings. And I really feel good about the fact that my walk last night accomplished those things. So a mindful walk would normally be, again, like paying attention to every one of your senses and also of your feelings, your experience. And so that would mean, what do you smell when you walk? What do you see when you're walking? What do you feel against your skin? What are you hearing? All the senses. I'm forgetting one. Tasting. Okay, you might be tasting something. This is New Orleans. It's so muggy. You might taste the smells. Anyway, so a mindful walk is being mindful. And so as I was walking, there were times when I started to kind of spin off in my thoughts. And what I did was just kind of bring myself back, literally, to what is in front of me. I remember walking and seeing a neon sign. Wow, that's a pretty green sign. Walking and seeing, it's really interesting to walk at night and see how people's homes are lit up. And what can you see from the front of their homes? What do their landscapes look like at night? What do businesses, who are the people standing outside of businesses at 8:30 at night? Just being mindful. What am I smelling? I smelled some really funky things on this walk, that's for sure. And, and really I practiced that, and it worked so well for me. And I was also, like I said, mindful of my emotional kind of process. And by the time I got home, I really felt a sense of accomplishment that I think I really needed yesterday but didn't know how to put into words. And again, the thing that happened at the end that kind of threw me for a loop might normally have kind of not negated the whole experience, but really took it in a different direction. And I purposefully wrestled it back and finished my walk in the way that I wanted to. So I say all that because that's my experience in the last 12 hours or so. And it feels good to start my day this way. And so that's the mind-body practice that I'm going to suggest, is doing some sort of walking, especially when you're feeling in your feelings really heavy, which I feel like this week has been that way for me. The song that I'm going to add to my playlist is kind of a curveball, but on that long drive playlist that I mentioned earlier, the song just came up, and it came up at a moment right when I was kind of transitioning from feeling a little bit sad and wistful and longing, as I mentioned, to feeling more determined. And it's a song called Hungry Heart by Bruce Springsteen. It's super old, but I love that song, and it's on that playlist because I just feel like there's such meaning in those words. It was super pop, super hit, but the lyrics are super telling about what many people believe we need as humans. We walk around with a hungry heart. We're hungry for connection with people. We're hungry for love in whatever form that might take. And so that hunger for connection really sat with me. I mean, again, it was in this point in my walk where that was exactly the song that I needed to hear at that moment. And I felt like, yep, I can feel sad, I can feel wistful, but I can also fucking, excuse my language, feel determined. And so it was just the perfect song. And so I'm going to add that to my playlist and go about my day today. So I hope everyone who might be watching also has a lovely experience and embraces their hungry heart.